Hello and welcome to MS-4004. My name is Lockie and I'm here to take you through how Copilot can help you in your workday. Now before we begin, a little bit about myself. I'm based in Canberra in Australia and I am a Microsoft technical trainer. I help clients in high compliance scenarios get skilled up in a whole range of different areas, but my specialty is in multi-cloud and also hybrid cloud. That means I've done a lot of work with clients with documents all over the place. And using Copilot as an impetus to kind of bring things together and make the best use of all of the document libraries you have, the databases you build, it's kind of been my modus operandi the last few years here. So, what am I here to take you through? Well, with the lens of high compliance, I do a lot of work about how Copilot actually works under the hood. It's important to understand what it's doing. And my goal is for you to have a good understanding of how it actually works, not how we say it works or how it's said it works in the sales material, how you can actively use it in your workday, and how it works best for you in your specific scenario. So, without further ado, let's begin and start talking Copilot. Now, specifically, we are here today to talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot. There are many Copilots in the Microsoft ecosystem, and Microsoft 365 Copilot is the one that is designed to work with all of the components of Microsoft 365 and Office 365 more broadly. So I think before we begin, it's good to get a little bit of a level set. Let's talk about what it is, what it isn't, and what it's being built upon. So, Copilot for Microsoft 365 is the main child of what we're going to be talking about today. It's the main topic of our course and the main thing that we are focused on. But there are many Copilots, as I said. The Copilot for Word works differently to the Copilot for Excel, the Copilot for Outlook, Teams, Loop, and the rest of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem broadly. Each individual Copilot has its own set of special skills and is designed to work in a specific way. We call these two different types of experiences either standalone or embedded. The standalone experience for Copilot for Microsoft 365 is what you'll get at office.com or over in the Copilot app on your machine. Additionally, Teams actually makes use of the standalone version of the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, and it uses this to be able to reach out to Teams messages, look at calendar invites, and be able to bring in broader context about how Office works on the day-to-day. When we use an embedded experience, we use those in-app. And many of my demonstrations are going to focus on that in-app experience. This is where we focus in on some specific skill set. When we use Copilot in Excel, it's great at coming up with new formulas. When we use it in Outlook, it's designed for drafting emails and being able to coach us into, well, writing the right thing. When we're using it in Word, it's about recreating a document, redrafting, coming up with new suggestions, and looking for new improvements within that behavior. Each Copilot has a specific set of skills, and we look to utilize those whenever we can. But I keep using this word Copilot, and I think it's nice to just have a little bit of a background about what a Copilot actually is. Like, what is Copilot for Microsoft 365? We know what it's going to do for us, and I'll give plenty of demonstrations about how it's going to work for you. But under the hood, it's really three separate components. The first is an LLM, or a large language model. There are many different companies out there coming up with large language models. LLMs are designed to reach out to large data sets of information and be able to find patterns in how human language is written, and a little bit of how human language is spoken as well. We use this to be able to find easy, predictable pathways. So when we say, I have a pet, what's the next word? It could be dog, it could be cat, it could be bird, but there is a pathway that we can follow, and we know what the most likely response is going to be based on the data that we originally feed in. Now, critically, LLMs are packaged and static. Your information is not used to retrain or improve an LLM. These are things that we utilize and that we update over time, but these are generally provided by an external company. Whilst we as Microsoft do make various large language models and small language models ourselves, our research team is very skilled in that area. OpenAI is the main basis for many of the different packages that we use in the LLM space. Now, away from the technical jargon, what are we adding in when you go for a Copilot? The first thing is the protections and guardrails that you come to expect with a Microsoft system. These are things that do evolve and improve over time. We use this to ensure that when you use a Copilot, it responds in an appropriate manner. It behaves in a way that makes sense for an enterprise. You want something that you're going to use at work to feel like a tool you should be using at work. So we leverage the different pieces of our ecosystem, the different APIs we already have access to, and the great skill we already have in terms of filtering language, in terms of making sure that it is fair and responsible in its responses, and ensuring that it is grounded in a level of reality and accuracy. And the last critical piece, the thing that makes Copilot for Microsoft 365 something different, is the graph. Now, what the graph is a reach out API where we can hit an endpoint, a point in your environment that says, what's on your calendar? What's in your Outlook? What's on Teams? This is the thing that allows us to feed in all of the baseline components of the LLM, packaged with those protections, and then we add on the content you provide from your Microsoft 365 environment. So, baseline package wrapped with all the protections and guardrails you need to be enterprise ready, and then you bring the content, the thing that makes it personalized to you specifically. That is what a Copilot is, and that is what Copilot for Microsoft 365 is when you actually use it on the day-to-day. The Copilot system is designed to be able to give you a simple, trusted place to be able to do your work. We use these LLMs in combination with the graph in order to give you that proper, seamless integration across that Office 365 suite. And additionally, you can expect that there is going to be contextually aware responses. So that is the baseline of what Microsoft 365 Copilot is and what it's going to provide for you. There is a critical thing that you do need to know about this work version of Copilot. It is license-based. So you do need to ensure that you have the correct license in your environment and that it has been enabled in your environment today. Copilot is not on by default. It is something that an organization needs to enable. Of course, right now, for non-work use, you have access to a Copilot. Over on Bing, there is a Copilot available for general use and for great web queries. But it's not designed with enterprise protections in mind. It's designed for general search terms and general use cases. If you are looking to integrate with Microsoft 365, pulling your emails and all of the things you expect out of a work environment, that's where we're going to require a license. So if you don't have access to it today, there's a couple of things that need to happen in the back end there, and that might be why. Now, let's talk about what Microsoft 365 Copilot does for you specifically. The three things you see on here: understanding context and user need, transforming how you work, and giving yourself a whole bunch of key capabilities. These effectively show what a base Copilot is able to normally do. The understanding of context, that's based on the graph. The more we can pull in from there, the better we are able to work with the data you provide. Transform how you work, large language models, and the secondary piece of that, a natural language processor, means that we can take the questions you ask, run them through an algorithm, and then the LLM can process them and give an output that feels right. It feels like you're talking to someone, like you have an assistant or a Copilot on the side. And of course, the last thing is that baseline LLMs have many key capabilities that we are leveraging. The ability to rewrite, to analyze, to find different components, whilst also ensuring that you are, well, secure. You have access to the things you should have access to and no more. It's critical to ensure that we're managing all three of those pieces. This right here is the logical architecture of how a Copilot actually fits together. And I like to leave this one in just as a way of giving you one last set of how the graph actually functions. Just remember that a Copilot alone, the thing that we see at this point, that Microsoft 365 Copilot out of the box, it does great work, but doesn't know you. The graph, the thing that means that if it is something you can't see, Copilot can't see it. If it's something that you are able to pull, Copilot can pull it. We use your permissions. So if Copilot can see it, you can see it. That is a really important part of how we have designed this. It should work out of the box with all of the various permissions you already expect. So always keep that in mind. Now, there's one last piece of this that I haven't actually defined properly yet. We talked about LLMs already, those pre-packaged components, and we've talked about Microsoft 365 apps. But I only really quickly went through what a natural language processing component is. One of the key things to remember with large language models, the thing that Copilot's based on, is that they don't really understand anything. It'll feel like it. They're extremely good at being able to predict what they need to say next to be accurate and say the right thing. But natural language processing is the actual thing that allows you to talk to a Copilot. It takes your language that you speak. English is the easiest example that I can think of for what we tend to talk about here. I have a dog. That will get translated into 1, 2, 3, 4, a series of numbers that represent the words we're saying. Then all we need within the large language model is to find the pattern of those numbers within it. And then at the end, we need to then run it in reverse. We need to take the output of numbers we have and be able to feed them back into normal language. It's the 1-2, going from things you say in the way you like to say them, bringing them down, running them through an algorithm, and then outputting them back out. When you look at what it's actually doing under the hood, you'll be astonished at just how good Copilot is at being able to pick up what you need and how you need to access that info. Always remember, because of the way that the graph works, it is always based on a compliance-first opinion. If you cannot see it, Copilot cannot see it either. I know I've emphasized that already, but it's super important to say. What this does mean is that if you find that Copilot can see something that's unexpected, let your organization know. It means that you've been able to see it this whole time, and we need to get that fixed. This is an important piece of Copilot. It reaches out to all of the graph that is available. So if it is able to return something, you've always been able to see it there. Let people know if you ever see something that's not right. The last big piece I want to emphasize here, before I just show you a little bit of Copilot, is I want to talk to our responsible AI. Microsoft has, for a very long time, had a key set of responsible AI principles, and we adhere to them at all times. Responsible AI principles and practices around compliance with various government organizations and government bodies, making sure that we are using this in a way that makes sense and ensuring that you have access to the tools in a safe manner. This is our core goal. The AI tools that we have should be trustworthy. That is a key component of it. And we want to make sure that you are able to feel that these tools are trustworthy, that you can use them in the way that you expect and you can trust their output. Additionally, you should be able to be empowered to use these AI tools responsibly. We make sure that there are guardrails in place so you can use them and fall into the right space to ensure privacy and security is paramount. So always keep this in mind. We have responsible AI principles. We use this to define how these AI tools are actually designed. And we recommend that you follow those principles too. Feel free to take a look at the responsible AI principles over on learn.microsoft.com. We publish them out publicly and we're proud of them. All right, next we're going to go across and we're going to take a look at how Copilot works. And I'm going to show you just a few quick tours of some simple prompts that we can run to see how things work in our environment. Okay, so welcome to Copilot. This is available over at office.com, but as I mentioned, there's many different ways you can reach Microsoft 365 Copilot. Here on my main screen, I am currently in work mode. At the top of the screen, you'll see work and web. Work means that we are in your enterprise environment. We're going to use internal documentation and things that you have access to in your SharePoints, OneDrives, and also in any Teams, Outlook messages, etc. Straight away, we can see easy examples of some potential prompts that we can use for Copilot, such as, I've got a daily stand-up. Maybe I need some help preparing for that. Gabriel Woods has been contacting me. What about the latest messages from them? These are far from the only prompts that you are able to do with Copilot. The world's your oyster. Use your imagination and think about the ways that Copilot can work with you. It's using a natural language processing system, which means talk to it in a natural way. Use slang, use terms, but always be nice. Just like a person, Copilot responds better when you are kind to it and when you do say please and thank you. I know, but it does make a big difference. On this screen, there's a couple of important things that we need to know. First, the shield up the top. Anytime you see this shield, you know that your enterprise data is going to be protected. But the way this reflects is slightly different depending on what we're looking at. In the work mode, it means we're going to bring in your enterprise data. In the web mode, it means we're going to exclude it. So you've always got a guarantee that when you're using Copilot at work, whether you are using the web mode for general public chat or using the work mode for internal documentation, as well as potentially content from the web, we're able to make sure that your data is protected. You will see my little chat history coming on there as well. The chat history is always available in a little panel window on the right-hand side. Additionally, in the three dots at the top here, you'll see there's a little web content button. Sometimes it's good to flick that web content off, and so we don't pull in things from the web and we keep things purely internal. It's your call, but it's a nice little thing to work with. Now, what we're going to do is just a pretty simple prompt here. I have a daily stand-up coming. It's pulled in my calendar invite and it's got some information. Help me prepare for the project widget daily stand-up. Copilot is now running that prompt live. It gives me details about what's actually going in. We've got some additional components from external sources. This has pulled in some emails from my inbox there. It's also got the details in the agenda from the meeting itself and even who organized it. This sort of quick overview is perfect for what Copilot is great for. We see references to each of the things that it needs to reach out to. So if you need to pull in some extra data or get some extra context, you've got it straight away. And you've even got some follow-ups here. Drafting my update will give me a little bit of summary context on those extra emails. It's very easy and it's designed to be simple to pull in extra information from these other sources. So think about how you can use Copilot in your day. Now, this is the standalone experience. Beyond this, there is, of course, all of those embedded experiences. A quick tour of some of them. This is the embedded experience in Word. You have the ability to draft new documents with Copilot, as well as using it as a rewriting and coaching tool. Either way works well for us. Whatever works well for you is the way to use it. Within Word, there is also the side panel. And the side panel is great for asking general questions. If you need to ask a question about other documents, to pull some components in, or even link in external files, that's where you're able to do that and be able to create new content from other sources. In Outlook, there's two primary skills that we've worked with. The ability to summarize email threads, number one, very important. When I get a lot of emails overnight, I want to know what's actually going on and why I got so many. A quick summary of a thread can help you get up to speed fast and works brilliantly every time. The drafting of emails, it's a longer kind of process there. Maybe you want to change the tone. Maybe you've got the core points that you want to say, but you need to find a way to put it all together, get the context right. You can use the drafting capabilities to find that right wording, change the length, change the tone, even make it into a poem if you want to. If you're using Teams, two main ways we can use it. The Microsoft 365 chat is available, so you can use Microsoft 365 Copilot's full feature set, reaching out to multiple sources and getting context. Or you can keep it contained to a single chat thread. Both are useful in different ways. The chat thread feature is great if you're trying to work out what that action item needs to be from a long set of history, or with lots of back and forth in an asynchronous world, just what actually matters to me. What do I need to be doing here? This is far from the full set, but always remember that work web switch. If at any time you want to remove the work context and only pull from the web, ask general questions. What is an LLM? How does this work? Tell me about this animal. The sort of things that the kiddos like to look up as well. Always use that web mode. The web mode also has a nice little feature on the side, the ability to go through and change the conversation style. Different conversation styles give you different responses. A creative response is going to go far off the beaten path, whereas a precise response is going to focus on the facts and figures. Take your pick. Within the Copilot for Microsoft 365, we focus more on the precise above all else. Accuracy is key when in an enterprise environment, so that's the key focus for us. Now, the big thing to remember is that Copilot and Copilot for Microsoft 365, it doesn't end with just the Copilot chat itself. AI itself and working with AI tools, it's both art and science together. Yes, there is definitely a lot of creativity and you have full freedom to use these tools however fits you. Truly, I want you to experiment and iterate. That is how you get better at these tools, and the better you get at using the tools, the better the responses. The better the responses, the better you're going to use them, and so on and so forth. It's a positive feedback loop, and it's brilliant. AI is designed to not give the same answer twice. Well, sometimes it can, but it follows whatever path makes the most sense based on what you've said. Change up your wording. Sometimes AI is what's known as usefully wrong. I know, but if you're looking for a creative thing or trying to come up with ideas, it's going to try and look for different pathways to follow each time. This means that we get different prompts, different thoughts, different ways of drafting or other areas to improve every time we ask. Use your different AI skill sets and use this as an experimentation. Don't treat it as a one and done, always the same. Use it as a conversational tool and a conversational partner to experiment and to test ideas with. Now, there is a number of clear best practices. You don't have to follow these, but following them will get you a better response, guaranteed, with any large language model. So of course, well applies to Microsoft 365 Copilot. First, be clear and be concise. Don't waffle on if you can avoid it. Try and keep your wording clear, try and keep it short, but don't leave things out. Always ensure that you are providing feedback if things are wrong. Ensure you add extra context if it's needed. Just try and keep it to whatever the minimum would be. Just like us, Copilot works best when it's a short phrase or short emails. But also like us, it needs all the context there. So make sure you provide it all together. The next and important thing is that you should trust what Copilot says, but at all times, verify. AI and large language model tools, they have great pattern matching skills and are extremely accurate. But there is a reason we have the disclosure that AI tools are sometimes incorrect. It's pattern matching. It's not a human with the understanding there. And just like someone who doesn't have all the context or maybe doesn't know the whole scenario where you're rubber ducking a question off, we want to ensure that we're checking their work. Make sure you check the responses from Copilot for accuracy, especially when you're dealing with very specific numbers. Additionally, Copilot's not actually designed as a replacement tool, so don't use it for everything. It's not skilled in every area, and it's not supposed to be. It's got specific skill sets to help supplement your workday and make you better at what you do. It's an extension, not a replacement, so don't over-rely on it. Also, make sure that you just are creative with it. Do fun stuff, test things out, push the limits. Copilot is a tool that lets you unlock your creativity. And that is sometimes in the most menial of forms, but using it to extend out words that you find to struggle to get on a page, or just finding the right way to say that message. It's always a different way of using it, but focus in on being creative with it and using it in the way that makes you feel good. And the last two are important for us. Stay updated. We're always improving Copilot and adding in new protections and new skills, and ensure that you're prioritizing privacy and security. Those go hand in hand. New skills lead to new ways of using Copilot. New ways of using Copilot lead to new areas that you might not expect. So always be understanding and be cautious when you're working with sensitive data. Copilot will work with your sensitivity labels and all of the things we expect, but you still need to be careful and still need to be cautious. So always be thinking at the forefront, how am I prioritizing privacy and security while still getting the most out of the tool? Now, when you are building a prompt, what you are looking at here is the most effective way that you can write a prompt. Again, you don't have to follow it, but a best practice gets you best results. Always give Copilot a goal. In this case, I want 3 to 5 bullet points. Context, it's for an upcoming meeting with a client. That's going to change language, tone. It's going to change a lot about what we are responding. Give the expectations, a tone that is friendly but authoritative. That's important. We're changing how Copilot's going to say things, and that's going to change a lot about the different ways we put it together. And of course, your source. If you only want Teams messages, if you only want emails, only provide those. This goes for all different types of prompts as well. As much as the examples here are focused on Teams and email messages, if you are drafting a document, you're thinking about summarization, you're creating a presentation, whatever it is, think about the ways in which you can effectively prompt your environment. We have some great guidance on effective prompts over on learn.microsoft.com. So if you're looking for more information or deeper dives into what makes an effective prompt, go check it out. Last of all, in the best practices, there are also a few simple don'ts. Always be clear and concise. Don't be vague. When you're vague, Copilot will respond in unpredictable ways, just like a person would actually. If you don't give them the details, they're not going to quite know what to say. So they might do something that's unpredictable. Focus on if-then conditionals. If it doesn't work here, go do that. If you don't find this, go do this instead. Get creative. Use analogies. I use slang all the time, and it works great. If you can't quite find the word, use the one you've got at hand. Think about it and just talk to it in the way that makes most sense for you. One that's a really nice hidden feature of the way that LLMs work, great at role-playing. If you need to put it in the shoes of a client or put it in the shoes of a manager, tell it it's a manager. That's its job now. And it will go through and it will play that part. It can be really good for testing out stressful scenarios or really just trying to work out what sort of questions someone might ask in the room. And the last important one, you don't have to put it all in one prompt. It can be a conversation. We call them chats. And this chat back and forth can be a series of different prompts. Each chat is a totally new context. So bring in the information you need and then ask for the details of it all together. Summarize the context, summarize the content, and bring all the parts in before you go through and do that. Last of all, you know that Copilot's not going to be good at everything because it's not supposed to be. It is a skilled tool. It's a scalpel, not a hammer. If you have a repetitive task, that is great for it. If you've got clear tasks with repeatable pieces, that is what it is good at. If it's something that's ambiguous and requires interpretation and is hard to work out, that's something that Copilot can assist with, but it needs you to make that last bit of the difference there. Be clear, Say please, be polite, be curious and ask preliminary questions, and iterate. Iterate, iterate, iterate. This is the most important part of getting good at using Copilot. So provide feedback to it. Say, that's not what I was expecting. I want it more like this. Give it samples, give different pieces of information. Do what you can to try and find the right sort of response. Beyond this as well, if there's something else you need to bring into Copilot, your organization can actually extend it into external tools. We support a whole range of ERP and CRM applications to be able to pull in document stores, wikis, blogs, you name it. If it can integrate with the graph already, we can integrate it with Copilot. So if you're looking for a way to extend this out, there's many different options you have available. All right, now that we've gone through the basics, I think it's time to work out what Copilot can do for you. Let's dive in, and I'm going to show you some options on how Copilot works for your specific environment. For IT professionals, efficiency isn't just a goal, it's a necessity. That's where Microsoft 365 Copilot comes in. More than just a productivity tool, Copilot acts as a strategic partner in managing complex IT environments. Whether you're automating routine tasks, enhancing system security, troubleshooting issues, or collaborating across teams, Copilot helps you streamline operations and focus on what matters most, keeping the ship sailing. Whether it's Excel, Teams, Outlook, Word, Copilot is embedded across the Microsoft 365 suite and is ready to assist with everything from log analysis to patch management. Now, I've pulled together some practical use cases to help you hit the ground running and unlock the full potential of Microsoft 365 Copilot in your IT workflows. Let's dive in. Okay, and we want to go across to Copilot Chat. Copilot Chat is where we're able to interact with Copilot directly, and this is where we get things like our Work Web toggle. The Work Web toggle allows us to either pull internal documentation, focus on information that's relevant from internal places, or pull directly from web content. If you're focusing on latest threats or looking for new components for IT, that web-based piece still has enterprise chat protection, but it is focused on making sure internal documents stay internal first and foremost. All right, let's stay in the work content and let's do a little scenario here. I am a director of IT at a Datum corporation. Now, we've said this so Copilot plays the role. Essentially, it's playing the role of you. I want to create a project plan for installing a new network security product into a corporate network. We don't have the full details yet, but that's okay. I want you to base this plan on IT industry guidelines for installing network security products. We're specific. We are looking for technical details, and so we have been clear with the goal that we're understanding. Now, is it following all of the best practices? No, not necessarily, but that's okay. We can start with this and see what Copilot comes up with, and we can go from there. So let's take a look. All right, so as the director of a Datum corporation, you're looking to create a project plan. And you see what it's done immediately. Here is the Contoso CipherGuard product specification, and it's pulled in a document that it feels is relevant. Now, lucky for us, that is the document I'm looking to pull in. But if you ever find that Copilot is pulling in information that is not relevant, tell it that it wasn't relevant. Tell it to regenerate with baseline content, and we can always go from there. What we do have, though, is all of the right phases, all of the right product overviews, all of the right pieces there. We can even verify by going across to the document itself, opening it up, and seeing what we've got. Well, here's our product overview. There's the key features, the firewall protection, IDPS system, the VPN support. It's all of the pieces that we've already based in on the document. We've taken something that is a deep technical reference document and have instead brought it across to something that is really focused on implementation and high-level project management. All right. The other piece that you see down the bottom here, there's our reference document, but also the note to tailor it to specific compliance standards. Now, it understood that I'm in Australia, so it actually pulled some local standards as well as industry standards together. Quite a nice little feature, and you can always say, yes, I'm interested in that. Okay, now it's missing a few important areas, so we can choose to add some extra pieces in. Note what I'm doing here. If we want to ensure that it is forcibly referencing a specific document, hit / type the document name, and you can bring it in immediately. Since it's already pulled the right piece, let's instead just tell it to rewrite. This is a good start, but it is missing some key items. Now, this is not necessarily grounded within sort of reality beyond the scope of what's in front of us. We have to make guesses if we don't have the information there. So if you want it to be grounded in something specific, and that grounding word is a specific AI term, make sure you're including the information that you're interested in. All right, now this is looking a lot better. We've got clear stakeholder analysis. We've got clear deployment planning phases. There's a lot more clear guidance in each of the separate sections here. I'm thinking this is a much more robust initial cut for a project plan. Additionally, an example timeline. Of course, will an SRA take 2 weeks? I reckon it's going to take a little longer. But as an initial point, that is critical. Okay. Let's go back to the prompt and see if we can add a little bit of extra stuff. Maybe I want to add in some compliance framework components. We keep suggesting it. I think at the moment, let's just focus in on the product specification. Some of the pieces within it were a little bit generic, and I've got some pretty deep technical specifications to pull from. So let's tell it to use this attached file more directly, to focus in on some of the content that I can pull through around maintenance, support, training, that sort of stuff. All right, let's go through and start writing our next prompt. I want to have multiple detailed steps for each point, and I want to then have a project plan accordingly. So where only dot points exist, give me more info. Now I'm also going to tell it where to ground from. So prepare the document for export. We're giving it a clear message of where we want to go next. Beyond that, I think we're pretty good. And what this is going to do is take the information that I have, and rather than me having to copy this to another document or something along those lines, it's actually going to create a full output document for us. A detailed project plan has been expanded and structured into a comprehensive document, and I can simply download it by clicking that one there. Okay, next we're going to head across to Excel, and I want to take a look at some asset-based exploration. Managing your assets in your environment is always a bit of a struggle, so any sort of help to go through, find the pieces that you need, always going to be critical. So let's jump across and take a look at an asset management table that I have and see if we can make it a little clearer to read. All right, looking at this right away, I am seeing something that's going to be pretty difficult to find the insights I'm looking for. What I'm interested in is actually, of all of the assets I have here, when was it purchased and when does the warranty expire? Ultimately, that's what we really care about. Now, I want to find a few different scenarios in here, but I think let's keep it simple as a starting point. Rather than going through and making lots of different rules all at once, what we're going to do is just quickly format this as a table. I'm just going to apply a filter to shortcut that. And then once I've got that filter in, we might be able to sort this data and see if we can get a basic insight ourselves. All right, first up, let's check those warranty expiration dates. Now I'm in 2025 here, so I'm expecting that all of those warranties should be well beyond that point, right? Right? Oh, that's not great. Okay, we've got a lot of expired products in here. We need to go through and we need to work out where we have expired warranties, and so we can go and retire those assets. Let's use Copilot to do a conditional formatting rule and see if we can apply it directly to the point. So let's create a conditional formatting rule. I want to apply it to the warranty expiration date column, and I want to go through and ensure that it is focusing on things that are already expired. Let's start simple and go from there. So if it's prior to today's date, highlight in red. Nice and easy. Now there's two types of responses I would expect from this. Copilot is either going to give us the response and be able to apply it directly, or it might just give us the rule and then tell us to apply it. This depends on whether Copilot can actually find the thing it's looking for. But because I marked this with the filter, marked it as a table, It's nice and easy to find what we need. By simply hitting apply, the conditional formatting rule is already in play. Warranty expiration dates on, done. All right, we've got a lot of assets that have expired, but less than I was thinking, so that's good in a way. All right, I think let's go more complex now. I've got 3 more conditions that I think I want to assess. I want to see what's expiring soon, what's expiring just after that, and what I need to have on the horizon that I might need to go through procurement now. So let's create 3 additional conditional formatting rules in the same column. We're going to do them all in one prompt. Often it is easier to do them one at a time, but sometimes they can just go for it as well. So if the due date is within the next 30 days, highlight it in yellow. If the due date is between 30 and 60 days, highlight in gray. If it's due 60 to 90 days, highlight in green. If it's beyond that, I won't worry about highlighting. That's far enough out that we might not need to go through our initial procurement. We're a small business, it keeps things nice and easy. Let's go through, get all of this written out, 60 to 91 days, highlight in green, done. Let's see what Copilot comes up with. Understanding the data, taking a look at the data range, A1 to G105, so it's selected the right range. And there it is. We've got all of the details. It's using some actually really nice formulas there using the today function. Hit apply, and it's auto-applied it there. Beautiful. Well, we've got our initial cut of the data, and we can see that it's not as bad as we thought it might be. Certainly there is a lot of expired warranties in the environment, but I think things could be worse. All right, let's go through and take a look at the data in another way. I want to cut this through and see where I've got active laptops. And I want to sort this by my departments. I've got quite a few departments in the space, and I've got active, in repair, and retired. If something's retired, does it really matter in this scenario if it's also got an expired warranty? Probably not. So let's see where the most active laptops are on a departmental level. In the Copilot sidebar, it is first going to generate the chart that we requested, in this case a bar chart, off in that side panel. From here, we do have the ability to actually go and put this into a new sheet as well. So if we want to keep it and reference it later, we can do that. Note that Copilot always follows up with a quick little summary as well. Just a little 101 of what the data says and what things you should expect. All right, well, active laptops, sales has the most, manufacturing following that, and from there. I think a pie chart might represent that data a bit better, so let's just get it regenerated as a pie chart. Same thing, selects the data automatically does the analysis, and there it is. Yeah, that's exactly what I need. Now from here, we can easily go through and add this to our document. Retain this for later if we want to. Alternatively, we can start to go through and pull in some of those additional prompts. Note the ability to go through and do further analysis with Python as an example. Don't worry, we're not going to look at this one today. We're going to keep it simple and go and look at our various charts here. Now, there's an important piece that happens when we do actually generate new content with Copilot. So let's leave that for now, and I'll tell Copilot we don't need that. Let's go through and create a report that is actually trying to pull some of this info together. I want the number of active laptops whose warranty is expiring in the next 90 days organized by department. That's a pretty complex query. If I was doing a pivot table, as someone who's not particularly great at them, that's going to take me quite some time. So let's let Copilot do the work. Analyze the data, go through, find the query that will work for what we're looking for, and there it is. Well, that was easy. Let's get it to pull the info here. Number of laptops whose warranty is expiring in the next 90 days, organized by department. It's got a quick thing here, accounting with 3, warehouse with 3. Beautiful. And then we can simply hit add to new sheet. Now, hitting add to new sheet will also change to the sheet that we add this to, and that's actually important. Do you see how in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, it says go back to data? Copilot always analyzes based on the context of the screen on which you are currently selected. If you've got 50 sheets inside of your Excel spreadsheet environment, make sure that you are on the sheet that you actively want to analyze. Otherwise, it's not going to get you the details you're looking for. Okay, let's head on over to something new now. I want to go across to Word and we're going to actually do some initial drafting on a technical document. Now, it's pretty basic in the technical world, don't worry, we're not doing something crazy. But I just want to use this as an example, a simple thing that we can use when we're trying to talk to a client about something new that they're onboarding. So let's head into the document entitled Virtual Private Networks, a Technical Overview. Fabricam is about to purchase VPN products from us, and I just want to know what's kind of going on already. Here's a quick summary of the document so far. We've got some simple sections, benefits, drawbacks, installation, implementation best practices, really simple stuff around how VPNs actually function. Now we're going to head across into the side panel here for Copilot. Rather than redrafting sections straight away, I actually want to create some new content. So let's ask it to do that. We're going to write a new section of the document talking about the types of VPNs. We're going to explain what each virtual private network type is, how it's typically used, all of those pieces. But let's just start simple first, see what it comes up with. All right, so it's gone off and it's actually gone a slightly different direction than I would usually talk about our virtual private networks. It's looking beyond a point to site and a site to site and into some other types of broader VPN categories. All right, let's rewrite this, but try and use some best practices. Write a new section for this document about the types of VPNs. We're going to then explain what each type is, how it's used. We should probably go with who uses them as well. Get that info in there. Of course, any obvious pros or cons. So if there's something that we need to know, put that in there. Now, this is important. The content is for a technical audience, so be specific and exact with your details. If you want Copilot to return specific results, tell it. That's the simple answer. Copilot is designed as a tool for everyone. So if it needs to be for you in your document writing where you need specific technical details, tell it that that is the thing you need. All right, let's see what we've come up with. This is looking a lot better, a lot more dense in the detail. We've got a pros and a cons section for each piece of this section. We've still kept with the 5 VPN types broadly, and we can pull that in. Now, depending on where you are using Copilot, you may or may not find that the insert function works. I'm using this in a fairly restrictive demo environment, so it's not working for me. That's okay. I can easily just copy in the prompt directly and drop it into the document, and then I can match the formatting. If you're using this on the desktop version or in a normal corporate environment, you'll find that these work flawlessly. Hitting insert will actually match all of your different document formatting pieces, and you won't have to do any rejigging. But it is there, and it is always a nice backup just to be able to go through, pull in that highlighted content and do what you need to do with it. I'll pop this in as a heading just to make sure it matches everything else. I'll drop out the little bit at the end where it talks about if we need further assistance, and we'll get that into play. All right, pretty good so far. I reckon there's some more that we can do here though. We've got some basic pieces about the VPN, but in that summary, it felt like there was some stuff missing. So let's refocus. I want to take a look and see if we can write a new section that I know was missing. And I want to write a section for the document about security, policies, and maybe some related things specific to VPNs. The content, again, is for a technical audience, so be specific. There's a few ways you can approach that be specific piece. Often I like to tell Copilot at the beginning that all future prompts need to have that, and then I don't need to say it every time. Experiment, try it out, and see what responses you get back. All right, here's a new section of the document based on those pieces. All right, this is good. And in fact, it's picked up some context that I wasn't expecting. I love it when it surprises me. The pieces that it's pulled in here, it really has focused on an enterprise environment first and foremost. Virtual private networks can be utilized by end users as well for general content. So sometimes we pull in generic content here, but it's picked up from the context of the document and previous things that I've asked that, well, I am in an enterprise. That's what I need. So that's actually brilliant. I don't need to ask for too much in terms of rewriting here. So whilst the content's good, I'm actually happy with that. There is some stuff that I want to modify. you need those modifications, just ask for them. First, reduce the number of points. I know who I need this for, it's going to be too many, so just drop those out. I've said no more than 5, it'll probably go 4 or 5 then. Second, include content that talks to risk mitigations. We've talked about the risks, but not actually talked about ways to solve them. So let's make sure that we are giving ourselves some backup there and some way to work with our data. All right, beautiful. Let's see what we get back here. Security policies for VPN usage. Nice section. All right, what have we got in the content? Same sort of MFA, we've got the policy and then a mitigation policy, what it's mitigating, so on and so forth. This is looking a lot closer to what I would expect out of an enterprise technical document. So I'm really happy with that content there. Okay, let's grab this. Again, normally I'd grab that insert and we can copy it into the document if we need. For now, I think I want to do just one extra little piece of modification to the document though. Replace the content in the pros and cons section with a table. It seems pretty simple, right? Getting content that is normally written in paragraph form with lots of dot points and reformatting to a table, that's going to take me a while normally. That is a thing that is dead simple for Copilot. Because of its understanding of the Markdown language, which is what we're using in the background here to do a lot of this work, we can easily just get our content and refactor it. It's really just translation under another guise. So our big section here that we have around pros and cons, just a big series of dot points, let's convert this across into something that's a little bit more, well, relevant to the content we're pulling in now. I'll copy that one in. Again, you usually have that insert button. Drop it into there. I could do a quick little refactor just to make sure it looks nice, make sure it's all fitting together, drop out the stuff that's not needed, and just fit it into the document. Now I'm just doing a quick little tidy up here. Don't worry, normally don't need to do such a big thing. But do keep in mind that Copilot is designed to work with text. That's really what it's focused on. You will often need to take the content and then do just a little bit of refactoring, just like you would if you were working with other people in your environment and we're bringing in lots of content from emails and suggestions and Teams messages and different documents all at once. Okay, that looks a lot cleaner. I'm really happy with the content that's coming through so far. So let's go through and just ask one simple question. Anything else? Copilot is a great last-minute checker to just see if there's something else that could be added, something that I might have missed. Well, let's take a look at what its suggestions are. Okay, no detailed use cases. Yeah, no, that's pretty fair. We're talking quite generically and high level. I'm actually okay to leave that one away. Performance considerations, a little bit about that. Legal considerations, could be useful, depends on the scenario. Future trends, I don't know if that's relevant to the conversation we're having here. But each one of these give us an idea and a spark. If nothing else, if none of the suggestions apply, we know we've nailed it and we've got all that content in play. Always use it as a last checker, just to make sure you've got the things you need in the document. Okay, now our last demo is actually quite dear to my heart. This is the thing that I use Copilot for the most in my environment, hands down. I use it to draft messages and mail. I'm a technical person. That's my main career. And as much as I'm good at talking, writing things out is often a bit difficult for me. So I use Copilot to be able to get my thoughts onto a page, find out a way to kind of say the things I want to say. Often starting blank is difficult, but working and iterating from something that's been generated, well, that's a lot easier. So let's go through and take a look at how we can actually use Outlook and the Copilot within Outlook to draft a mail message to respond to some pretty technical questions. So here we are in Outlook, and we're going to go through and create a new mail. Now I'm going to just quickly pop this out to another window just so we can get it full screen and so I can show you easily. All right, there we go. So from absolutely nothing, all I'm going to do initially is just upload a file. We're going to go through and attach the Word document we've been working on. And we're going to attach it directly to the email here, just so I can upload it. I can upload from OneDrive or from my computer, but the key thing is that it is attached or linked in the email. It's your call either way. Doesn't matter as long as I've got it there. Here's our VPN research. Now we can go across to Copilot and start drafting. So here is what I want to say. I'm the lead consultant for Tray Research, and I am going to be managing the implementation of a VPN in Fabricam's network. What I want is to be able to reach out to their staff to say, I need a meeting, and I need to make sure that I've got all of the details about what that meeting is going to be. What I want to emphasize to Copilot, though, is that when you draft this email out for me, most of the meeting is going to be based on that attached report. Now, you can attach lots of reference documents, but make sure you remove any that you don't need to send at the end. You can use it as an initial drafting point, and then you can move them out. Also, note I've said P2S VPNs. I haven't de-abbreviated it. I'm going to let Copilot see if it can get the context based on the document we have there. The meeting will mostly be based on that document. As long as I emphasize that, I reckon Copilot's going to be able to pick up the content for us. All right, let's get this all fixed up. I need to say, okay, what it's for, a little bit of the why of why we haven't gone with a site-to-site VPN. I want to make sure that they know the context there. I'm trying to give as much context and content as I can without going overboard. Tell them the meeting request will follow. I think that's pretty fair. All right, draft it up now. Let's see what we come up with. Okay, I can immediately see just from reading a couple of words, this isn't quite the way I like to talk. I hope this email finds you well. Well, at least it de-abbreviated the point to site, so that's perfect. Our discussion will provide an opportunity for you to gain a clear understanding of the benefits of it feels a little bit too tense. It's like I'm scared when I'm writing the thing. So let's de-abbreviate some components here. We'll de-abbreviate point to site to point to site. I'll tell it, don't worry about that. Let's just get it into full language. Then once we've got that, let's just double check that it's done that initial work. And then I think I might want to adjust the tone here a little bit. Okay, well, it's lost a bit of the formatting. I think I'm going to go back to the first draft. Remember that you can always go back to older drafts of your email any time you use your Copilot to draft in this way. All right, well, let's start with this one and let's see if we can work from it here. Here's our tone, and I think I want to make it a little more casual. That's the way I like to talk. I feel like I'm on good terms here, so let's see what we get. I hope you're doing well, reaching out to chat about the upcoming implementation. I like to set up a meeting. It feels a little closer. Maybe they'd prefer a poem. All right. I hope you're doing well and in good cheer. It's doing some lovely rhyming limericks for me. That's always good. I think it's probably not enterprise appropriate and appropriate for the business, so I think we'll go back to the old version. Beautiful. All right. So with this, I can start to really make some core adjustments. Make it a bit shorter. Doesn't need to be in place. I don't need lots of stuff there. Honestly, that looks about the right length. Now, what you have just seen is that blue has gone away. That means we are now out of draft mode. So what you're going to need to do if you want to use it is to redraft content. Also remember, remove anything you don't need to send at this point. I do want to send that particular document, so I'm going to put that in. All right, let's wrap it up. Now, we've gone through and explored how Microsoft 365 Copilot empowers IT professionals to stay ahead in a fast-moving tech landscape. With real-time insights, personal recommendations, seamless integration across Microsoft 365 apps, Copilot helps you manage complexity with confidence. You build practical skills, and I showed you a whole bunch of ways that it works, summarizing those product specs, analyzing that asset data, and modifying technical reports in Word, all the way through to then drafting that final email in Outlook. Each task showed you just one way that Copilot can streamline your workflow, surface those critical insights, and save you valuable time. More than just a tool, Copilot becomes an indispensable ally, helping you enhance system reliability, implement innovative solutions, and proactively tackle IT challenges. Now you're equipped to lead with clarity, precision, and impact. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you later.